The Talksport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the Talksport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search Talksport Fan Network.
So let's discuss the Carabao Cup, or better known as the EFL Cup, and the changes that are incoming next season. My name's Craig, here from Up the Cherries in all departments, and here is my honest, raw reaction to this news about the changes of one of the major trophies in the English game. So, it has been announced that this season there is going to be a rare change and a preliminary game between 4 clubs. Now, these 4 clubs are going to be Accrington Stanley and Newport County, the 2 teams finished lowest in League 2 last season without being relegated, and the newly promoted clubs, of course, Barnet and Oldham Athletic. Now, why is there going to be this preliminary round, and why do I think this is wrong? Now, let's step back a step, because there has been talk for years about fixture congestion. Now, fixture congestion has been moaned by the likes of Pep Guardiola, Mikel Arteta, and others in the fixture calendar. Now, I don't really buy this, and I'll tell you why I don't buy this in a second. This preliminary round is to make way for a record 9 clubs that are going into Europe from the Premier League this season. Now, those clubs will enter the competition as they normally do at round 3. However, why should 2 of Accrington Stanley, Barnet, Newport County and Oldham Athletic have to make way because Manchester City are a little bit tired, or Arsenal are a little bit tired, or Nottingham Forest, or Chelsea, or Spurs? Why do they have to do that? And it gets worse. It does get worse. Of course, there is the Club World Cup that is coming up very, very shortly in the USA. And 2 representatives are going to be from the Premier League. Those are Manchester City and, of course, Chelsea. Now, they will play a number of games over there. So Manchester City, for example, will be playing Wydad AC, Al Ain, of course, of the UAE, and Juventus. Now, this is all well and good. However, why should Manchester City, in a competition which is called the EFL Cup, I know it's called the Carabao Cup for sponsorship reasons, but the EFL Cup, which is for the benefit of EFL clubs, be getting a bye into the later round? To Oldham Athletic or Barnet, or even Accrington Stanley or Newport County, a game against Manchester City or a Premier League club, even like AFC Bournemouth, is a big deal to them. It's a money spinner. It's something where they can get on TV and they can get revenue that they wouldn't normally do in League 2. So why should clubs that moan about fixture congestion, yet they're going to play in a Club World Cup, then get get into the 3rd round, whilst though 2 of those clubs will lose their place in the competition? As you may expect, these rounds are broken into North and South divide. So, of course, Accrington Stanley will play Oldham Athletic and Newport County will play Barnet. But that isn't the point. These clubs should be going into round 1. And it shouldn't be this rare case. In fact, what should happen is round 1 and 2 should continue as it always has done, apart from the one season in 2011-2012, when, this same sort of thing happened between a game of Crawley Town and AFC Wimbledon. It was wrong then, it's wrong now. So round 1 and 2 should be the same. And then these 9 clubs should come in at that point in a preliminary round themselves. This would mean that Manchester City could face off against Arsenal, and one of them will be going out. Therefore, that might save Mikel Arteta or Pep Guardiola a bit of time. Um, Chelsea might play Nottingham Forest. The only one that hasn't really complained about this is Oliver Glasner, the man and the club, Crystal Palace, who have been really, really, really battered by UEFA because of dual club ownership. Now, give it rest. Crystal Palace should be playing in Europe because they've earned their right to play in there. And neither Crystal Palace or Lyon are going to win the Europa League. I can assure you of that. There is no benefit. And if UEFA have a problem with it, split the two up. So therefore, they cannot play each other. Problem solved. How is it right when you had Manchester City and Girona, who of course are both owned by the same owners, in the same competition? Now, Marinakis, just getting on my high horse here. Marinakis of Nottingham Forest, yes, him, that man who's got too much to speak about and just moans and whinges and goes and everything else. Marinakis has turned round and said Crystal Palace should be kicked out of European football. Well, why? Why? They've earned their right to get there. It's only because you want their Europa League place, Marinakis, that you want them out. So therefore, it's not right in my personal opinion. Okay, he's turned round and he said that divested his shares in his other club, of course, Forest and Marinakis, are also linked with Olympiakos of Greece. Again, neither side are going to win the Europa Conference League either, are they? Let's be fair. But Marinakis, is Marinakis. He's trying to kick out a club that's legitimately got to a competition. But let's look into this a little bit deeper. These managers are turning round and these clubs are turning round and saying that they've got fixture congestion, yet they are going out to play in a Club World Cup. And even if they don't have a Club World Cup, Arsenal, for example, have got 3 games themselves in Singapore, in the Singapore National Stadium, against AC Milan, Newcastle United, and Tottenham Hotspur. Well, hold on a minute. You're saying and you're moaning, you're whinging and going about fixture congestion. You're tired. You need more time, recuperation, blah, 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 blah. Yet you're going 16 hours around the world to actually go and play in a competition, with 3 other teams, 2 of which, one Newcastle, yeah, it's quite some way from North London, I can understand, but one that is just down the bloody road from Arsenal's Emirates Stadium. So I am sorry, I do not buy it one iota. I personally think that these clubs should be held to account. They shouldn't be going on these jaunts. Hey, if you want a friendly, go play bloody Boreham Wood Arsenal. But of course, Mikel Arteta wouldn't do that. And the same for us. If we got into Europe, I would be saying exactly the same, that we should not be given special dispensation of by a competition that we have been in for years, playing in round 1, because we've just got into Europe. And we can't moan about fixture congestion ourselves as well, because we're off to play West Ham, Everton, and Manchester United in America. Don't get me wrong, it's all good, well and good getting the stretch of the Premier League out there. That's great. However, you know, give me a break. Give me a break. If we want to play Everton, we can go to their shiny new stadium and play Everton, or they can come down here for a game. I don't know why anybody would want to play Everton anyway. You know, it's not like it's the most exciting games between the two clubs either, is it? But well, yeah. Sorry, there is that one. There is that one, Everton fans, if you're watching. Hold hands up. Bit of clickbait there. But the thing is, and my point entirely is, why should the EFL in the EFL Cup, which is benefit for EFL clubs, be making special dispensations to Premier League sides? Yes, a money spinning deal, for Barnet would be great. If they went to Manchester City, they could get that against ourselves. They could get that against Fulham. They could get that against anybody. Now, of course, there is 9 teams that are going into Europe, so it's an odd number. However, I personally think that Crystal Palace, the ones that have moaned the least about this, should actually go straight into round 3. The others can all battle it off to actually get into round 3. So my suggestion: first round, second round, preliminary round for those 8 clubs. We've reduced them down to 8 now. And then 4 of those clubs go into round 3. Problems, simples, solved. And of course, Barnet, Oldham, Accrington Stanley and Newport County can continue as normal in the normal way. And the EFL have then no longer dropped their trousers for the Premier League, which of course they do quite a bit. That's my 6 penny worth. Let me know what you think. Fixture congestion. Is there such a thing as fixture congestion? Why should Premier League managers be moaning and whinging about fixture congestion when they're getting on a plane literally 24 hours after the season's finished? You tell me. Should this Club World Cup trophy thingamabob even be a thing? I think not, but you let me know what you think. And, okay, the Premier League is a global brand. It is a global sport. But doesn't Premier League fans and EFL fans and the whole English football pyramid come before Arsenal jetting off to Singapore? You let me know. But thank you again for watching. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell button below. And we'll see you in the next one.
The Talksport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the Talksport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search Talksport Fan Network.